I welcome you all to ManageEngine's free training on Network Configuration Manager. So this is the agenda for today's free training session. First, we'll look at why do you need a network configuration management tool, and then how ManageEngine Network Configuration Manager becomes your comprehensive config management tool. What are the additions of Network Configuration Manager and the requirements for installing the product, and then we'll move on to the functionalities of Network Configuration Manager one by one, which includes device discovery, credential association, configuration backup, viewing configurations, change management, firmware vulnerability management, and finally, we'll end it with disaster recovery. So let us take a look at the first topic of today, which is why do you need a network configuration management tool? So basically, configurations are considered pivotal for every network organizations because a single line of network configuration can make or break a network. Hence, it needs to be monitored effectively so that no unauthorized changes are made to the configuration. So this is very difficult in a large and growing network infrastructure because the users cannot manage all the device configurations at the same time and for changes in compliance manually. So without a tool, this would also lead to a path where there would be more security vulnerabilities as well as human errors. In order to avoid this, you require a network configuration management tool, which eases the work of network administrator. Network Configuration Manager helps minimize configuration errors, detect configuration changes in real time, helps roll back to trusted configurations whenever required, and ensures industry standard compliance with industry policies such as PCI DSS, HIPAA, SOX, etc. And it also helps streamline the maintenance process. So Managing NCM is a comprehensive network change and configuration management tool specifically developed to manage complex configurations of all your network devices, which includes routers, switches, firewalls, etc. It helps you take complete control of the device configuration management lifecycle. So here I have listed some of the functionalities which the network configuration manager can do. So let's start with job scheduling. So what is this? With the network configuration manager, you can schedule network operations such as backup, executing configlets, or anything else. Suppose there are a lot of operations that you don't need to perform immediately, so that those operations can be scheduled at the right time. So using this particular job scheduling option, you can perform those operations. So next is configuration comparison. You can compare two configurations of different devices or two configurations of the same device side by side, which is also color coded to provide better readability. It has real-time change detection. So whenever a change is made to a configuration of a device, it immediately alerts all the network operators. Next, we have configuration rollback, where it automatically rolls back to the previous baseline version or the previous stable version whenever this is enabled to minimize the changes done to a core device. Next, we have user-based access as well as change, review, and approval mechanisms where admins play the authority. So you can restrict user access for certain operators, and you can provide them access only for 2 or 3 devices or vendor-specific devices for them to manage. And if they make any changes to the device, which you have given access to them, it will go through a review mechanism where the changes will be immediately notified to the admin. And only if he requires the changes, he'll accept, or else he can also choose to reject the change as well. So this change will be notified to the operator as well. So this comes under role-based access control, which will be explained in detail in the part 2 of Network Configuration Manager. So next is policy compliance verification. The Network Configuration Manager provides 4 policies as default, which includes SYS, PCI DSS, SOX, and HIPAA. And on top of this, you also have the opportunity to create custom policies from scratch, depending upon your organization's requirements. So the next is a remote firmware upgrade. Using Network Configuration Manager's configlet feature, you can also push remote firmware upgrades. So these are some of the functionalities which you can do with Network Configuration Manager. Now let us take a look at the additions we provide in the Network Configuration Manager. There are 3 editions that we provide, which includes free, professional, and enterprise. In free edition, you can manage only 2 devices, but in professional edition, you can manage up to 10,000 devices. And in enterprise, you can manage up to 50,000 devices. So let me tell you the difference. So here on the left side, I have listed the professional editions architectural diagram. And on the right side is the enterprises editions architectural diagram. So you can see the difference that in the professional edition, you can deploy it to a particular server. And in that server, you can manage the network devices configurations. But in enterprise edition, if you have a headquarters in one location, and if you have many branches in diverse locations across the globe, you can utilize this enterprise edition where you can deploy the central server in the headquarters and you can provide all the probe servers to the branches. So with the help of this, you can manage the configurations of network devices in different locations from the central server. In this way, the headquarters will know the changes that are happening in the network devices of all the location and also minimize the cost of deploying this for users. This provides complete visibility. So this is the difference between professional edition as well as the enterprise edition. So now let us move on to the prerequisites of network configuration manager. So here I have listed some of the minimum system requirements for 50 devices for network configuration manager. You should have a 2 gigahertz dual core processor, 4 GB of RAM, 100 GB of storage, PostgreSQL or MS SQL database support, as well as Windows or Linux operating system. This is the requirement for 50 devices only. But if you want to manage more than 50 devices, you can visit the system requirements page of the network configuration manager, where we have listed the system requirements for up to 50,000 devices. This PPT as well as the recording will be shared to you via email once the session is completed. You can utilize the links in this PPT and view the system requirements. So here are some of the protocols and ports in the network configuration manager. Protocols supported include SSH, Telnet, SCP, TFTP, SFTP, and REST API. So let me walk you through the ports as well. Port 69 is for TFTP. Port 22 is for SSH, SSHP, SFTP. And 514 is for syslog. And port 13306 is for the database. And 8060 is for HTTPS protocol. So let us move on to the first functionality of the network configuration manager, which is device discovery. To understand this better, I've given a short architectural diagram of how SNMP discovery works in network configuration manager. Basically, the discovery engine of network configuration manager will send an SNMP request to the device, and the device will in turn send an sysobject ID to the discovery engine. Then the discovery engine will match this received sysobject ID with the default or custom sysobject ID available. So if a match is found, then the device will be added automatically, and the corresponding device template will also be associated. If the match is not found, that particular device needs to be added manually. You can manually add the device template as well. The SNMP profiles that we support include version 1, version 2, as well as version 3. So these are some of the device discovery types available in Network Configuration Manager. One is the SNMP discovery, and another one is the manual edition. SNMP discovery is for SNMP enabled devices or SNMP supported devices. We can discover the devices in 3 types. One is by providing an IP name or host name. Another one is by providing an IP range, and another one is by importing a CSV file. So let me show you how this works in the UI. So let's go to discovery. So for discovery, let's go to settings and then click on discovery. So here you can see the IP and host name, IP or host name, where you need to provide an individual IP or host name, and you can select the credentials from here and then click on discover. The particular device will be discovered. The next way in which you can discover is the IP range. Suppose if you have a set of devices under a particular IP range, and you can provide the start IP and the end IP and select the credentials and then click on discover. So the devices under the particular IP range will be discovered immediately. The next way to discover is the CSV file import option. So if you have a list of devices that you would like to discover, you can just put it in a CSV file and import it here, and then click on discover. The devices that are present in that particular CSV file will be imported immediately. So we have a particular format that needs to be followed for this CSV file. So I have listed the format here below the slide. You can see that the host name slash IP address, device template name, series, and model. So this format needs to be followed for every device, and then only you can upload the CSV file. So now let's take a look at the manual addition. So this discovery method is mostly for SNMP disabled devices or quick addition to your inventory. So let's just go to inventory, and under inventory, just click on devices and click on add device. So there are two types in this. One is add device, and another one is the CSV file input. So you can provide the host name and the vendor of the particular device, and the device template that needs to be associated with the device, as well as the series and model if required. And then click on add. So this particular device with along the device template which you have given will be added. So the next is the import device from a text file. Here it is the same as the CSV file input. You can put the devices in the particular format mentioned over here, and then click on browse the file and then upload it. And the device will be added to the network configuration manager's inventory immediately. So this is the process of how the device discovery works in network configuration manager. And it helps network admins easily add devices to NCM and start monitoring them immediately. So I have here I have listed some of the possible errors which you may encounter while discovering your devices in the network configuration manager. The first one is the device is reachable and the SNMP community is correct, but still the network device is not getting added. There may be two reasons, one being the incorrect SNMP read community, and other one is the disabled SNMP in the device. So kindly check for the read community and check whether the SNMP is enabled in that device, and then click on again. And then next one is if you encounter a situation where a device's object ID isn't mapped to any of the available device templates. It means that there won't be any templates to use for that device. In this case, what you need to do is go to the sysobject ID finder in the settings and add a new sysobject ID to the device template. Now, another scenario is when there isn't the default device template available in NCM for a specific device type. Here you have a couple of options. You can either add or clone an existing device template that fits your needs, or you can reach out to NCM support and let them know that you need that particular device template, and they'll help you get sorted. So now let's talk about device template. So what exactly are these device templates? Essentially, device templates contain all the necessary commands required for a device's functionality. In large network infrastructure, there are often a variety of devices from different vendors, and each device type has its own set of configuration commands for tasks like backups, uploads, and more. Because of this diversity, it's impractical for network administrators to manually keep track of all these configurations and apply them every time a new device is discovered. That would be a time consuming and hectic process. So instead, they can use the device template feature that is available in the network configuration manager. We provide over 200 device templates that cover around 4,000 different devices and their configurations. This makes it easier for admins because they don't have to create commands for every device manually. By using a device template, you can simply apply it to the configuration of your device and get started quickly. So let's take a look at this feature in the console. So first, go to config automation and click on device templates. So here you can see a list of the available device templates. And here you can see that you can view a template, you can clone a template, or you can also export a template. We also support the REST device templates. So if you click on any device templates, you will be able to see its configuration, such as backup settings, configuration change detection, and more. If these configuration commands suit a particular device, you can simply add this device template to a newly discovered device and start using it right away. So this is the device templates in Network Configuration Manager. Next, we'll be taking a look at the credentials. So these are some of the possible combinations for the protocol for backup operation in Network Configuration Manager. This includes SSH, Telnet, SSH, TFTP, Telnet TFTP, SSH SCP, SNMP TFTP, SSH SFTP, and REST API. So let's go through some examples of configuration backup using different protocols. So the first one is the SSH/Telnet protocol configuration backup. In this case, the Network Configuration Manager initiates a configuration backup command to the specific device. The device then transfers its configuration via SSH or Telnet. Once the configuration reaches NCM, it is encrypted and stored in the Network Configuration Manager's database. Now let us take a look at the configuration backup using SSH or Telnet with TFTP protocol. NCM also comes with a built-in TFTP server. For this method, NCM sends a configuration backup command to the device, and the device transfers the configuration file using TFTP. This file is then sent to the TFTP server, where it is encrypted and stored in the NCM database. Now let's take a look at the SCP server. Similar to the TFTP method, NCM also has an SCP server. Here, the configuration file transfer is done using SCP. The file is transferred to the SCP server, encrypted, and then stored in the Network Configuration Manager's database. Now let's look at the SNMP with TFTP protocol. For SNMP with TFTP, the TFTP server sends an SNMP request to the device for a configuration backup. The device then transfers the configuration file using TFTP. The file is received by the TFTP server, encrypted, and finally stored in the NCM database. Now let's go over how you can provide credentials in the Network Configuration Manager. So first, let's take a look at the scenario where both a password and an enable password need to be configured. On the left side, you have the Telnet interface, and on the right side is the Apply Credential screen in Network Configuration Manager. Here, you need to provide the login name, the password, and prompt. For the enable password type, you choose password, enter the enable password, and also set the enable prompt. So this way, the system knows how to handle both standard and enable passwords for this device. Now, if you want to go to directly to the enable mode without entering an additional password, here's how you can do it. You can provide the login name, password, and prompt as usual. But in the enable password type, you still select password, but you leave the password field empty. This allows you to access the enable mode directly. Next, we have the scenario where the enable mode does not require a password. After entering the login name and password, you can choose no password in the enable password type field and provide the necessary prompt. So what happens here is that the system will skip asking for an enable password and move on to the next operation smoothly. So there's also a case for an empty enable password. Here you enter the login name and password like before. Then in the enable passwords type section, select empty password and provide the enable prompt. When you press enter, it won't ask for a password and will go straight to the prompt, letting you continue your work without any interruption. So in some configurations, you might have both a username and an enable username password setup. So after filling in the login name and password, you'll see an option to provide an enable username and enable password as well. This is helpful when devices have more specific credential requirements. So here's another example with a 3COM router where the prompt is set to a colon. So this is just to show you that you can customize the prompt based on your device's requirements. So NCM also supports REST API. For example, for a pfSense device, you can use the HTTPS protocol, set the authentication type to local database, and then provide the username and password. You can also select the configuration file type and click Save. This way, the REST API support gets enabled for that particular device. Lastly, there's support for SSH key authentication as well. Instead of using a password, you can create an SSH key provide it in the apply credential screen and set the appropriate prompt and proceed with the enable password type. This provides a more secure alternative to traditional password authentication. So let me show you how this looks in the UI. So go to inventory, and next to a device, you see the key symbol over here. So just click on it, and you will find the apply credential screen will appear. And in the screen, you can select the protocol that you want, whether it's SSH or SSH, TFTP, or any other protocol. And then you can enter the login name and password and prompt. You can also set the enable password type based on your requirements. So this is how you apply credentials to a device. So now if you want to use REST API, there's an option here where you can enable it and provide the necessary details. Similarly, for SSH key, instead of a password, you can select the SSH key you have created and provide the rest of the credentials. So that's how credentials work in Network Configuration Manager. Okay, so now you might be wondering if you have to create credentials for every device individually. Fortunately, that's not the case. Network Configuration Manager has a feature called credential profiles. With this, you can create credential profiles and associate them with devices whenever a new device is added to the inventory. This saves a lot of time and effort when applying credentials for multiple devices. So let me show you how this works in the UI of the Network Configuration Manager. So you can just go to config automation and click on credentials. So here you'll see a list of credentials profiles that has been created. If you want to create a new credential profile, just click on the plus symbol, and from there you can provide a name and description for the profile. And if it's for SSH, for example, you can enter the login name, password, and the prompt, and any other details that you need. And then once you have filled in the required fields, just click on save, and the credential profile will be stored. This newly created profile will then appear in the device discovery screen, where you can select it and proceed with discovering the device. So we also have something called as credential rules, which simplifies the process of associating credentials with devices even further. With credential rules, you can create a set of rules based on specific criteria, such as IP range, protocol, and credential profile. When a device is discovered and the credential rule is enabled, the Network Configuration Manager automatically assigns appropriate credential profile to the device if it meets the criteria defined in the rule. So let me show you this in UI. So you can see the credential rules section here. For example, you can create a credential profile with a name, a description, and specify a criteria like the IP address or IP range, or select a vendor and choose a protocol like SSH, and also associated credential profile. So what happens is, whenever a device within this IP range or this IP and within the matching criteria is discovered, the SSH protocol and the selected credential profile will automatically be applied to that particular device. So that's how the credential profiles and rules work in the Network Configuration Manager, making it easier for network admins to apply credentials to devices efficiently. So one of the possible errors that you might encounter during credential association in NCM is that the TFTP or SCP servers have not been started. If you run into this issue, you should check the running status of these servers in the NCM server settings. So let me show you how to check this. Go to settings, go to general settings, and server settings. And here you can see the running status of various servers such as TFTP server, SCP, SFTP server, syslog server, and so on. So if any of these servers is showing as not running, you can simply stop and restart the service and then try again. So now let's move on to the topics of backups. So Network Configuration Manager provides backup in three ways: instant or bulk backup, syslog-based automated backup, and scheduled backup. Starting with instant or bulk backup. If a new device is discovered in your inventory, you can select the device and click on backup. This will immediately back up the device configurations for that particular device. You can also perform this action for multiple devices at once. So let me show you how you can do this. Just go to the inventory. It's very simple. From the inventory screen, just select the number of devices that you want to backup, and then click on the three dots here, and then click on backup. So once you do that, the operation will be executed and the configurations in that particular devices will be backed up. So next we have the real-time change detection, which is a syslog-based automated backup functionality. So here's how it works. Whenever a change is detected in Network Configuration Manager, it will automatically back up the changed configuration. You might wonder how this happened. So let me explain this with this architecture, with this diagram. So if a user logs into a device, makes some changes and logs out, a logout message is immediately sent using the syslog listener. As soon as this message is received, NCM will back up the current configuration and compare it with the previous configuration file. If there are any changes detected, the new configuration will be saved as the new version. If there are no changes, the backed up version will not be saved and will be discarded. So this is how the automatic change detection works. So to enable this, you need to enable change detection for the devices. You can do so by selecting the device and click on the three dots again and click on enable change detection. So once you do this and then click on update to apply the setting, these for these devices, the real-time change detection will be applied. So here are some of the possible errors you might encounter during the change detection process. So one common issue is that NCM doesn't support syslog for a particular model. In this case, you can enable syslog by connecting to the device and executing necessary syslog commands manually, or you can contact NCM support for assistance. Another common issue occurs when a change detection is enabled, but no changes are detected. This could happen due to a mismatch between the syslog ports of the device and NCM, or if the NCM syslog server is not running. As mentioned earlier, you can check the server status in the NCM server settings. So next we have a scheduled backup. Some devices in your network infrastructure requires continuous and regular backups. It's impractical for network admins to remember to back up each device at specific dates and times manually. So for those types of devices, you can use NCM's configuration backup scheduling feature. Network Configuration Manager will automatically perform the scheduled backup operation and send you a report when it's completed. So let me show you how to set this up. So go to config automation and click on schedule. So here you can click on the plus icon to create a new schedule. And here you just need to make sure the schedule type is set to the configuration backup. If it's not, you can select it as configuration backup. And you can select the device group in which you want to that needs to be scheduled. And in the report notification option, you can choose whether to choose it via save it or directly in the network configuration manager. This option is helpful because once the operation is finished, you can either have the report sent to your email immediately or save it in the NCM to review it later. So you can also schedule, you also have some scheduling options available like hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, and once. So depending on your requirements, you can select any of these options and set up the schedule accordingly. So that's how scheduled backup works in NCM. So now let's discuss the some potential issues that can occur during the scheduled backups. If a failure happens, it could be because the device's credentials are incorrect. In such cases, you should check the credentials and try the scheduling backup again. So here are some of the common causes that could lead to a backup failure. Number one is change or invalid credentials. If the credentials have changed or are invalid, a backup failure could occur. Number two is blocked ports of server not started. If the necessary ports are blocked or the TFTP or ICP server has not started, the backup might fail. Number three is large configuration files. If the configuration file is too large, you can adjust the timeout setting of the device template and try the backup again. Number four is unsupported backup commands. If the device template contains unsupported backup commands for a specific device, the backup could fail. To resolve this, you can edit the commands in the device template or provide a suitable device template that matches this configuration backup commands. By following these steps and checking these potential issues, you can troubleshoot and resolve backup failures in Network Configuration Manager effectively. Next, let's talk about viewing configuration, starting with comparing configurations. With Network Configuration Manager, you can compare two configurations of different devices or even two configurations of the same device side by side. This comparison is color-coded for clarity. Added lines are shown in green, modified lines are in purple, and deleted lines are in green. So let me show you how this works in the UI. So let's go to inventory. So if you want to see what changes have been made to a particular configuration file, you just have to click on that particular device. And here you'll see a list of configuration changes that are displayed here. So if you want to compare the changes, just let's click on this. Okay, so we've clicked on a configuration file, and you will see a list of configuration changes displayed here. And let's say if you want to compare the changes in this version, for instance, if you click on it, you'll notice that compared to the previous version, so there are 11 lines which are added and one line which is modified, and no lines are deleted. To see the exact changes, you just have to click on the circular icon. So this view clearly shows which line has been added, deleted, or modified. You just have to select these and you'll be able to see the added lines, deleted lines, and the modified lines. The deleted here there are no deleted lines, but the deleted lines will be shown in pink. So, for example, the added lines that were present in the previous version are highlighted, and the modified lines are also indicated. So this gives you a detailed view of all the configuration changes that has occurred in a specific device, helping you keep track of every single change. So how does this help? So let's say there are thousands of lines in a configuration file, and there's an error occurring due to this. This diff view allows you to pinpoint the exact changes easily, even down to the thousandth line. This is the power of Network Configuration Manager's diff view. It makes tracking and managing configuration changes straightforward and efficient. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is the baseline configuration. So what is a baseline configuration? Essentially, it's a stable configuration that is crucial during an unexpected network disasters. What Network Configuration Manager does is, once a version is labeled as the baseline, it immediately marks that version as the baseline during a configuration upload in case of a disaster. This way, if something goes wrong, you can quickly upload the stable baseline version and restore your network to a good known state. So let me show you how to label a version as the baseline. So let's say we are labeling this version as a baseline. So you just have to click on the 3-line menu and click on set as baseline. So once you have clicked on set as baseline, this will mark that version as baseline. So now let's say that there's an error with the device and you need to upload a stable configuration. You can do so by clicking on the inventory and select the device and click on the 3 dots and click on select upload config. So when you are uploading the configuration, the version you have labeled as the baseline will appear for both the startup and running configurations. Depending on what you have marked, you can simply click on the upload and this baseline version will be uploaded immediately, stabilizing the device. So that covers both the baseline configuration and how to upload configurations. So here's a possible error that you might encounter during the configuration upload. We don't support the configuration upload feature for this device. Some common causes for this could be that the telnet or SSH protocol is being used, which is not supported for uploads. To fix this, you can either edit the credential from telnet SSH to SSH TFTP or SSH SEP depending on the device. Another possible cause is when the SCP or TFTP protocol is used. And while the device vendor supports it, the NCM device template does not have the upload commands for a specific device. In such cases, you can clone an existing device template or create a new one that is suitable or contact NCM support for assistance. So here's another example of an error that might occur during the upload failure. Common causes include a command timeout. You can check the timeout settings of the device template and try the upload again. Also, based on the protocol being used, ensure that the TFTP or SCP server is running correctly by checking the server settings. So before we move on to the next topic, I'd like to let you know that we are giving away a free personalized demo, and we have generated a poll on the chat. If you would like to customize NCM according to your enterprise needs, please reach out to us and we'll help you set it up. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, which is startup and running configuration sync. So this is a crucial functionality in Network Configuration Manager because the running configuration should always be in sync with the startup configuration. All changes are typically made to the running configuration. If a device shuts down or reboots unknowingly or accidentally, any changes made to the device will be lost and if they are not synced with the startup configuration. Therefore, whenever a change is made to a device, it should always be synchronized with the startup configuration. Network Configuration Manager helps by detecting configlets between these configurations and can automatically sync them to ensure consistency. So let me show you this in the UI. So on the inventory screen, you can see a column that shows the configuration conflict status. Some devices might be in sync, while others could display conflict detected. So when a conflict is detected, simply click on, so let's just click on the device and click on the three-dot menu and click on sync configuration. So this action will immediately sync the running configuration to the startup configuration, resolving the conflict. So that is how the startup configuration and running configuration works, sync works in Network Configuration Manager. So now let's talk about the potential errors that might occur during this process. One possible issue is that a change occurs, but the startup configuration, startup running conflict is not detected by NCM in real time. A common cause for this is that it could be that real-time change detection is disabled. To fix this, enable change detection for the device. If syslog is supported for it. If syslog is not supported, the startup running conflict will only be detected and reported after the next successful scheduled or manual backup configuration. So moving on to change management, which is another important feature of Network Configuration Manager. So this allows you to view all the changes made to a device and automatically syncs changes to different configuration versions. You can track the who, when, and what of each change, get a historical trend of changes for a device, and see the number of modified, deleted, or added configuration lines. One of the most important features in change management is the ability to receive the change notifications and roll back to previous configurations when necessary. So let me show you how to set up change notifications in the UI. So go to config automation and click on change notifications. So here you will see the existing change notifications. To create a new one, just click on the plus symbol and you can provide a notification name and a description. Next, select the configuration type, whether it should apply to any change specific to running configuration, startup configuration, or any custom configuration. Then choose the change type, whether it is authorized or unauthorized change. Then you can the criteria you set will determine which notifications are sent. You can also provide a detailed description of what you require and choose the notification medium as email, SNMP traps, syslog, or a ticket. For example, if you choose email and the change is detected on a device associated with this notification, NCM will immediately send an email to the specified recipient notifying them of the change. Now let's discuss the rollback option in the Network Configuration Manager. This feature is very useful for devices where you want to revert to a previous configuration without making any critical changes. To enable this rollback functionality, select whether you want to roll back to a previous version or the version labeled as baseline. So how it works is when a change is detected on the associated device, it will automatically roll back to the selected version, ensuring that the authorized or unintended changes are reversed. So the next topic is the firmware vulnerability management. This feature in Network Configuration Manager is designed to help you manage and address firmware vulnerabilities effectively. So here is how it works. Firmware Network Configuration Manager receives daily updates from the National Vulnerability Database as well as from major vendors like Cisco and Fortinet. This daily update keeps the vulnerability database in Network Configuration Manager current. When the database is updated, it identifies and lists the devices that are vulnerable, including details such as CVE IDs and base cores. These details help you understand the severity of each vulnerability. So once you have this information, you can click on the provided links to apply the necessary patch fixes. So let me show you this in the UI. So we have a dedicated tab for the firmware vulnerabilities where you can view all the detected vulnerabilities. In this tab, the listing format includes the CVE ID, the base core device count, indicating how many devices are affected by each CVE ID, and the reference URLs. So these URLs provide detailed information about the CVE ID and instructions for applying patch fixes. So next we have exposed devices. In this section lists the host name and the vendor, the version and series and model of devices. For example, if a specific vendor, series and model show multiple vulnerabilities, you can see a detailed count of affected devices. So lastly, there is a version distribution section. So this shows how the many vulnerabilities are associated with a specific vendor version and how many devices are running that version. So this allows you to quickly assess how many devices are affected by vulnerabilities in a given version and prioritize patch fixes based on the severity and priority. So now let's discuss the sync vulnerability DB option. So this feature updates the vulnerability data from sources like NIST and other vendors to the Network Configuration Manager's database every day at 3 a.m. You can customize this timestamp to fit your needs. If you're working within a closed network, you also have the option to manually upload CVE details. So let me show you how this works in the UI. So navigate to the Sync DB Vulnerability tab, and here you can select the manual import. So here you can upload the file containing the vulnerability data and provide the checksum value to import it. So this method ensures that the vulnerability data is available even if the database sync is not performed. For closed networks, we have a dedicated help page where you can download the necessary file and checksum. Just follow the link provided and download the file and upload it here. Enter the checksum and import the data. So next we have the advanced CV search option. So what you can do here is you can basically enter a CV ID into the search field to get a detailed information and all the related reference URLs to that particular CV ID. So this covers the firmware vulnerability management features in Network Configuration Manager. Next, we'll move on to the disaster recovery. When a disaster recovery event occurs, the primary issues you may face include degraded network performance, network outages, and potential security breaches. To mitigate these risks and be well prepared, you should implement several strategies. So number one is baseline configurations. Establish a baseline configuration for every device to ensure it is secure and free from vulnerabilities. Number two is sync startup and running configurations. Regularly synchronize startup and running configurations to prevent configuration drift. Number three is change notifications and rollback. Set up change notifications and enable rollback for critical devices to quickly revert to a stable state if needed. Number four is export configurations. So you can export device configurations to your system for future reference. And number five is database backup. So regularly backup your network configuration database. So we have covered the first 3 points. Now let's take a look at how to export configurations and backup the database. So you can export the configuration of the selected devices to a destination on your system, ensuring you have a backup in case of a disaster. So let me show you this in the UI. Go to settings and go to global settings, general. So go to global settings and click on export configuration. So here you can choose the export frequency as never, daily, weekly, or monthly, and set the specified date and time for the export. So you can also opt to receive a notification by email once it's completed. So enter the email address where you would like to receive the notification. Next, select the specific devices or the device groups that you want to add. Wish to export, you can select the routers and switches, and you can finally you can specify the destination where you want to save these configuration. Browse to the desired location, select it, and then click on export configurations now. So the next is the database backup. So database backup involves creating a backup of the network configuration manager's database. You can schedule this backup to occur monthly, weekly, directing it to specific backup directory for future use. So let me show you this in UI. So go to settings, general settings, and database backup. So here you can enable the backup option and choose the frequency, which is monthly or weekly, and set the desired date and specify the backup directory. For added security, you can also provide a password to protect the backup file and then click on save. So this covers the database backup feature in the Network Configuration Manager. So that's about it for the part one. So this is a very brief demo on Network Configuration Manager's capabilities. However, if you would like to get a personalized demo or would like to clear your doubts or queries on Network Configuration Manager, please reach out to us and our product experts will clarify your doubts and help you set up Network Configuration Manager for your enterprise network. So we have also introduced a new feature in Network Configuration Manager. So this is a feature in network automation. It's called programmable configlets, which allows you to apply dynamic logic and intelligent scripts in configlets. So configlets are about automating the network configuration tasks. So this will be covered detailed in the next part of the free training session. To learn more about this, our panelists will share a link that provides detailed information about the programmable configlets. So thank you for joining. See you in the part 2 of the Network Configuration Manager's free training sessions.